Hello and welcome to the BC podcast. My name is Deus.
And I'm MrSonic.
So, last week we were supposed to have a podcast up, but due to various reasons, mostly me being ill, we didn't get it done, and we're really sorry about that. We do this in our spare time, so...
Yeah, and when it comes down to it, medical emergencies like how Deus has been feeling is kind of prioritized over our podcast.
Yeah, it's the same if I have to go out on the same day. I'm basically dead for it. But I don't want to spend too much time talking about that because we can hopefully, as I get better, because I'm now seeing a specialist, hopefully as I get better we'll be able to do this more frequently and everything should be fine. So, games we played in the last 2 weeks, really? I suppose we should do that just to cover up from what we've left behind, as it were.
Yeah.
I've actually had a lot of fun with the Make War Not Love promotion that Sega have been doing, where they've been giving out free games. The idea is that you can unlock sort of free content if you own either Total War Attila or Dawn of War 2 or Company of Heroes 2. I nabbed myself Binary Domain, which I've been playing a lot of recently, which I've been enjoying in a sort of cheesy way. What about yourself? What have you been playing very recently, Sonic?
I've been playing from the first part of the Make War Not Love promotion. I got the Sega Genesis and Mega Drive thing, and Hell Yeah, and Jet Set Radio, and I'm like already halfway through Hell Yeah. But besides that, I've been playing a lot of homemade and homebrew Pokemon ROMs.
Really? Like, are you big into your hacks? Like,
Yeah.
fair enough.
I'm not even a quarter of the way into a game, and I've already put 3 hours into it. I'm not even a quarter of the way through the entire story. Hell, I haven't even made it past the third loading zone yet.
Fair enough. I mean, myself, I've been playing again. I'm used to playing Binary Domain, which I've only gotten in the last couple of days because it took a while for my code to come through. I did check out Golden Axe from that as well because I got that from the second round, which was really fun. Oh, first round, I think it was, and that was really fun. I'm waiting on the third round. The third round is actually sort of done. Like they're already giving stuff out. At the moment, as of recording, it's Gunstar Heroes, Renegade Ops, and Viking Battle for Asgard. It's probably most likely it will be too late for a lot of people, but you can get you can get these for free even if you don't own the games associated with it. So
Yeah.
that's what I would advise doing. So that was pretty cool.
This, if I can get it edited in time, will be going up on the day that we're recording this. But we are, well, mainly me. I'm planning on uploading this to Vimeo and YouTube. So this in the first episode may not, anything that we talk about may not be up to date.
Yeah, so let's just say as of recording everything is fine, but I mean if you're listening to it later than the recording, time will have passed and things could have gone very wrong.
Yeah.
Right, so on top of that, I've also been playing in the Ghost. This is the one of the longest titles I've had to play in modern video gaming. Ghost in the Shell Standalone Complex First Assault Online Beta. Yeah, it's so stupidly long. But basically, I've been playing through that and I've been quite enjoying it. It's a first-person shooter, which people were a bit disappointed with because that was being baited over in Japan, and people were like, "Don't really want to play just a shooter." The Ghost in the Shell series, which I think that was the first thing I ever turned you on to in terms of anime, is like really deep and complex, and there's lots of stuff you could do with it. But it's all virtual simulations. That's actually one of the reasons why it's so good. You're actually training to be an agent with Section 9. Which include things like capture the point and straight out death matches, but there's really cool stuff in there.
They brought back the fucking Tachikomas.
Yeah, they brought back the English voice cast, which was really, really good, and that was really fun. It's generally been pretty good to level up. Every day when you log in, you get given a sort of dice roll of a boost you get for an hour in game. So or I think it's hour as long as the game is running, which is good. But I found leveling up fairly simple. The class system is based around the characters from the game, which is nice as well. What else have I been playing? I'm playing a bit of Undertale, playing a bit of I've been playing a bit of Beyond Civilization, actually. I quite quite like that game. I recently got access to it. Very, very fun game.
Yeah.
You've been playing Civ recently, haven't you?
Yeah, I've been playing Civ 3. Yeah, live long and
Old
prosper.
school.
Yeah. It's not
Yeah.
old school as like 2005, but Mom picked it up for me at a thrift store. I put it in the CD tray and it booted straight up. I was like, hell yeah, I'll play this.
Yeah, that's. I mean, I'm one of these guys that never used to be into Sid Meier games. It wasn't really like I would play them for a bit and then I get bored. But with Beyond Civilization, it much like Binary Domain, it includes one of my favorite archetypes for stories. Humanity is solidly fucked, right? Yeah, utterly screwed. It's what I can't deny it. I'm one of these sort of people that likes that I like those kind of settings if they're done right. I mean, I also like to a lesser degree things like the atom punk style of stuff from Fallout, but I'm much more of a cyberpunker kind of guy. I like the idea that corporations are going to screw you because they generally do. We've found when left to their own devices.
Yeah, including the fact that Nestle has literally killed a guy with a cookie.
What?
There was E. coli left in a batch of cookies. The cookie dough wasn't properly stored, and so E. coli formed in it. And when they baked out the cookies, the E. coli didn't go with it. And so this guy, I think 30 people got sick with it, and one of them died. So Nestle killed somebody with a fucking cookie. Not including the,
wow.
infants that they killed with milk in China.
Yeah, that's pretty mental.
So they've literally killed people with milk and cookies. Nestle, if you're listening, stop weaponizing childhood loves.
That's pretty strange. But no, they're not. But anyway, so yeah. You told me as well, though, when we were gaming the other day, because we were supposed to get some. We were supposed to be recording some stuff for us together, which was going to be Don't Starve Together. And we were setting some of that stuff up before I got really ill, and you were telling me something funny on Walmart, and you said we should put it on the podcast. So tell me what it was.
Oh yeah, yes. Well, back then, when I went to Walmart, I was looking around in the Easter section because I was just seeing how cheap they had their candy up for, and they had WWE branded Easter egg, like the little graphics that you can put on there, where you stick this little vinyl thing on, you soak it in water, and it puts the actual thing on the egg, and it was of the different wrestlers' faces.
For those of you who are not aware, I'm actually sort of a fan. I've been getting back into WWE stuff. Of course, I am being an old git that I am. I remember the Attitude Era, so Stone Cold, The Rock, all that good stuff.
If I'm right, but they also had John Cena's just his face with his slogan, "You can't see me," on an egg. It was
I can't believe it. That's so strange.
Yeah,
that is so strange.
If I had thought about it, I would have picked it up so I could have taken a picture of it when I got home, but I didn't take my phone because it was my first GED test, which I fucking passed.
Good job, by the way.
Thank you.
So,
Friday.
So, yeah, we've been. Yeah, so we've been talking for a bit about, like, as I said, I got back into wrestling, and I'm actually quite into it. This Sunday, which is today, is Fastlane, which is the next pay-per-view, which everyone's kind of terrified about because the next. Well, I don't know why it's called Fastlane, but for some reason it is. But yeah, the the next pay-per-view event after Fastlane, though, is WrestleMania, and there's been a lot of people who have been very, very ill. A good example is Big Match John, who buggered his shoulder. He'd been back in the company for 2 nights after he had been away for 2 months with no warning, which put him a bit in the doghouse. But yeah, so we had that, and then he injures his shoulder. You know, we've had all these people who've just gotten injured or broken something, and you're just like, guys, I know it's supposed to be like like it's supposed to be like hurting and stuff like that. But seriously, what the hell? All you guys getting injured all at once. The big thing is, of course, though, is that even if you're not a wrestling fan, you know the name The Undertaker. Everybody knows The Undertaker. He's been in the business for 25 years. That last year there was his 25th year in the business. And a lot of people
expecting him to retire.
Very much so. He is an old man in real life. Taker is in his 50s, so now's the time kind of thing. Most wrestlers don't last into their 50s.
They don't last as in physically, mentally, or just at all. They might die.
Yes. Yes. I would just put it down that, yes, all of them. A lot of wrestlers also, like Stone Cold Steve Austin, a very big famous wrestler from the 90s and early 2000s, due to a botched move on him, he landed pretty much straight on his neck during a piledriver maneuver, which didn't end his career there, but it took half a decade, obviously, off of his career, which was not best pleasing to the Texas Rattlesnake. But there's other people like Shawn Michaels who had lots of injuries throughout his career, and most recently, one of the more famous guys in the company for a while, a guy called Daniel Bryan, who's had too many concussions, and yeah, he's getting blackouts and seizures and all sorts of stuff happening.
According to the NFL, there is no too many concussions. There's only... what's a concussion?
Yeah. Well, Daniel Bryan, one of the things that's made the whole situation involving him very controversial is that for a lot of his career he was intentionally held down by the WWE. Nobody makes bones of that. Most of the time it's to do with the fact that he doesn't fit the traditional wrestler image. He's under 6 foot. He's got a beard. He's a vegan. That is a thing.
So he's a non-Scottish version of you?
No, I'm a vegetarian. Big difference.
Yeah, you keep on telling me.
Well, it does matter. They are different. Anyway.
I think the only difference between it is one can't have milk while the other can, if I'm right.
It's dairy products. Vegans aren't allowed to have dairy. Well, they choose not to have dairy products of any kind.
Okay.
No milk, no cheese, no yogurt, stuff like that.
No yogurt!
It's a big deal for them, because... It was entirely you. It was you. Anyway,
I refuse to admit it.
Well, you don't have to admit it. There's only 2 of us on this thing, so it's you. Anyway, so the
on the last podcast.
Don't talk about numbers on the air. Anyway, so with him, one of the things that's really interesting is that he was both in storyline and out of storyline kept down because he doesn't fit the traditional image. They called him a B-plus player for years, but the man had been wrestling since he was 15. And he's now in his 30s. And he's had a lot of concussions. He had a very high-flying style, and it got him very much over with the crowd, which is why people liked him. And they didn't like the fact he was being kept down intentionally. But the problem was that when he got diagnosed with his most recent concussion, he had to give up a belt. He had to give up the Intercontinental Championship, which, while it's a mid-card belt, is a big deal, because Daniel Bryan wasn't going for the top championship because they were keeping him away from that. And a lot of people accused the WWE of intentionally keeping him out of the picture when it came to coming back, because if the doctors can't clear him, then they can't insure him to wrestle, because that's one of the things is that the WWE doesn't insure its individual wrestlers. They insure them individually so that they can, afford the medical care for them, which sometimes they have to use and sometimes they don't. But the important bit is that he thought he was fine for most of last year after he gave up the belt. He did a whole bunch of tests with a private doctor, which really did put him in the doghouse with the WWE, which a lot of people didn't like, because they don't like it when you go to seek outside medical attention. Not in a you can't be healed kind of way, it's a what's wrong with our doctors kind of a thing. Because the WWE doctor wouldn't clear him, the private doctor would, and then they had decided to go to a third doctor. There was a lot of controversy over who that third doctor was. I believe he was involved in some NFL scandal at the moment.
I am going to say something hilarious. That third doctor is Christopher Walken.
No.
I don't think... no, I can't do a Christopher Walken.
Stop. So, after the third doctor, there was also another test done to Daniel's head, and he had a look at it, and it made him question how fine he thought he was to wrestle, which is like a big deal. Because keep in mind, these guys, while they get paid the big bucks, they're not expected to have a career forever. When you retire as a wrestler, you're retiring at like 50. Most other careers, at least in the UK, you'd be retiring at 65. So
In the US,
the amount of
it's more like 70 at this point.
I know what you mean. But the thing is that with the way that wrestlers work out, retiring before you're 50 is a big drop in profits. Retiring in your 40s can be a big drop of potential profits on yourself, because it is a business at the end of the day. You know, all those toy lines and stuff like that, they have to pay to use the likeness of the wrestler. So the wrestlers do get money when you buy toys and you buy the crap with their face on it. That's just how it works.
But WWE figures go for like $3, and even then, they had an Undertaker figure at Walmart on the clearance shelf, and it looked like
Hey, I would buy that.
Sat on his face.
I would have loved to have bought the Undertaker Wii figure. I'm a big Undertaker fan.
The
Big
head
monster.
was squished. It was like $2.
Anyway, the point is that after this most recent test, Daniel really questioned his ability to wrestle, and he had a big going away speech very recently. It was like 2 Mondays ago. And that was a big deal, because it was really sad, and the crowd really wanted him to be there, and the crowd really wanted him to be performing. But one of the things I think is really, really important with that is that he could have walked out with that microphone and just shouted about how he'd been kept out of the game, and shouting about or talking about how the fact that he's always been called a B+ player, despite the fact he's always been on top of his game for as far as he's concerned. But he didn't. He chose to be the company man, as it were, which is a good thing, because most likely the company will now offer him a job somewhere else in it. He might not choose to take it. A good example is that they might have him work, say, as a coach down in a developmental district for them, but they could choose not to or whatever.
That, or they could hire him as a door hanger.
Work he does. But yeah.
So, next thing that we're going to be talking about is the finale for the series Gravity Falls.
No spoilers. I haven't seen it.
I'm not going to spoil it. This is a spoiler-free review. It is amazing. The series is amazing itself, but the series finale ties it up in such a pretty bow. It is unbelievable. They have
one of those sort of perfect endings kind of things.
Well, it's almost perfect. The only thing that I didn't like is that they didn't enforce the one of the pairings that I had, one of the ship things that I had. No. Long story short, one of the characters keeps a scrapbook the entire summer, or the entire series, and at the actual end credits are pictures that are like after the series finale, like take place after the series finale in like picture forms. Like it ties up loose ends here and there and everywhere. It's absolutely phenomenal how they do this. It's sad.
I'll need to check it out, because it's only 2 series, isn't it?
2 seasons, yeah. It's like 40, 50 episodes if I'm right, but it's just Alex Hirsch, the creator, tied it up so well that he could still do a 3rd season if he wanted to, and everybody would love it. If I'm right, Disney offered him twice the amount that he made just for the first 2 seasons to make a 3rd season. This may not be true, but then again, the sources can't always be trusted where I'm coming from. But
which is fair enough.
But yeah, they offered him twice as much as what he made off of the first 2 seasons to just produce a single 3rd season. How amazingly awesome is that?
It's a pretty big deal. It's a pretty big deal, but I think he's told the story he wants to tell. I have a peripheral knowledge of, as it were, of the production aspect of Gravity Falls rather than the story stuff, because it's similar to, but not the same as, what happened behind the doors at Supernatural. Supernatural. Eric Kripke only designed it as, he pitched it as a 3-season, was it a 5-season plot effectively, but he was only guaranteed to get 3 seasons. So if they hadn't been renewed around about season 2, they wouldn't have gotten past the 3rd season. And the 3rd season is now like almost a decade old. So if this is a spoiler for you, you should probably watch Supernatural anyway. But at the end of the third season, what would have been the end is, of course, one of the main characters gets dragged to hell. He dies. He goes to hell, and it's kind of like, wait, what? You really intended to do this? And then once they got past season 5, he left. The original creator left and left the writing hands with somebody else, and they're now on like season 10 or 11 or something. So it's just pretty crazy.
Season 11. But
that's
still,
pretty mad.
Yeah, at this point, they're just milking a dead cow and hitting the dead horse with a baseball bat, trying to get it to move. It is kind of working. The only reason that it's actually ending is to do with the fact that some of the actors are now old enough and their kids are starting to grow up and they want to be there to look after their kids. Because they film it in Canada majoritively, as I'm aware. Oh, the Canadian. But, I'm sorry to...
Why do you attempt these accents? They're just racist. They're just racist.
I'm trying to learn my voice, man. Be glad I'm not recording my Jar Jar Binks impression. But,
Why are you... I know you're from Georgia, but stop channeling pure racism. That's really bad. Bad Sonic.
I just imagined you beating the shit out of me with a newspaper.
Pretty much, just like, bash, bash. Bad Sonic. Anyway.
No, but,
anyway,
one of the main differences between the Gravity Falls and Supernatural, one of the main differences between the production is that for the entire production, Alex Hirsch had a full-size stuffed yak in the main office. A full-size
stuffed yak. What was he doing with it? What was he doing with the stuffed yak?
If I'm right, then he got it from, like, his grandfather or something. Like I said, my sources may not be the best, but
Mm-hmm.
they just had it in their main office. It was just there to be there. And he actually rid it out of the office when he left. He climbed on top of it and they rolled him out.
There is no better way to stick two fingers up to Disney than walking out from your company with a yak.
On a yak.
No. Yeah.
But
it's his yak, yeah. But, I mean, how else are you going to stick it to them? It's like, yep, I'm going to go out here on a yak. And you sort of just keep rolling.
But, well, he's going to be doing another series. It's not going to be Gravity Falls related, but I hope it takes place in the same universe because that would make me giddy with joy. But he's doing a series for Fox, which, considering that Disney wanted him to do another season and he said no, I'm surprised that he took up a deal with Fox. They might have offered him like a quarter of $1 billion for him to do something then. Because Alex is a great guy.
Well, I mean, I don't know it personally, but the thing is that working for Fox isn't necessarily a bad thing. There's a lot of very talented animators, and you never know, he might not be working on a drawn show or a cartoon show. So
no, he is.
Oh, okay. Well, you don't know what it is yet. I think we should hold off judgment because Fox is also famous for taking on very talented people and then cancelling them after showing their series out of order. Yeah, I'm just going to go ahead and make that... No, I was just going to go ahead and make the point that Fox screwed up Firefly.
Oh yeah.
Of the one series that's shown, they actually they aired it out of order, so it didn't make sense.
Oh my god, that actually reminds me. Amazon and I believe Hulu have their Steven Universe episodes out of order.
Why would you do that? Why would you? It's not difficult. They come out.
Yeah, Prison Break is like before what was it? The episode right before it. They're literally out of order to the point where they're spoiling the future. It's just
that's really annoying. That's like really annoying. Luckily, I don't use Amazon or Hulu.
Yeah,
we don't really do Hulu in the UK actually. Now that I notice it.
Do Hulu, but no.
No, we don't do a huge amount of that actually.
But either way,
as a streaming service is like technically Sky and Netflix, but anyway, sorry. Continue.
Either way, they had him out of order, and when the Nostalgia Critic went through and did their review on it, his review and his brother's review, they actually had to go through the wiki and find the right episode order.
Wow.
Although
That's kind of dumb.
it is funny that they also had a Gravity Falls vlog series, and they absolutely loved the ending of Gravity Falls as well. But somebody had knitted them. You'll know the character Waddles the pig from about the 8th episode into the series, I believe. Called the Time Traveler's Pig. In it. Yeah, its name is Waddles. Somebody knitted them miniature Waddles and made a sweater, like the main character Mabel. She actually knits her own sweaters. Somebody made them a Mabel sweater. It was so cool.
That's cool.
Either way, I think we only have one more thing to talk about, and then we're gonna have to go for the day. And it's a topic springing on you, actually.
Oh God, what is it? What have you done? What have I done?
Where's the fair use?
Yeah, where's the fair use? I saw the video. Very interesting, and it is quite...
Not just one video.
Mm-hmm.
If you go...
I've seen a whole bunch of them.
There's 63,300 results if you go into YouTube and search where's the fair use.
What's really funny is that, Nostalgia Critics just had all this problems in Channel Awesome, and I hate everything, and all that kind of stuff. One of my favourite YouTube people, a guy called Jim Serling with the Jimquisition, he used to work for The Escapist and Destructoid, and now he's independent and he's funded purely by Patreon. And he's on the blacklist of Konami, so you know he's going to be a good guy. But yeah, he got actually pointed out as an example of good fair use by YouTube itself, and is using his example of videos that he actually had to fight over, because specific game studios were actually just flagging his videos as inappropriate because they criticized them. So
yeah,
it was mostly the ones I remember is Homicide Studios, who are really bad for doing what's called asset flipping, where they buy assets on the Unity store and they cobble together a game mostly out of those assets. They don't edit them in any way, they just throw them together so that they stick. Then they release them on early access at like $5 a time. So as long as it covers the cost of the assets, you're just making profit at that point. So you judge how much it's costing, you make it like $5 or something like that. Nobody complains because it's early access, except people do when it's shit.
Like The Escapist, Jimquisition, Total Biscuit.
Yeah, well, no. It's mostly because Homicide Studios have released something like... They've released what is effectively one game every 2 weeks over the last 2 years. It averages out.
Ew!
Yeah, the crazy amount... Yeah, it's a crazy amount of just dumpware, shovelware. They don't care about it. And as soon as anyone questions it... It's not even
shovelware, that's like bulkware!
It's just shovel.
Literally just jerking off into a bowl and force-feeding it to Steam. Oh, God.
Yeah, this is one of the reasons why Steam... It's one of the reasons why Steam Early Access is not the best place to be right now. There are a couple of games who are really good on it, like, for example... Darkest Dungeon, which I've also played quite a bit of, which I really enjoy. Darkest Dungeon's great.
Yo-Ho Simulator.
I haven't seen it. But there's Slime Rancher is another good one, which, but for the most part, a lot of Steam Early Access games are terrible.
It's just people blatantly ripping off other people.
Yeah, the problem is when you give everyone the ability to sell video games, it doesn't mean every video game is going to be good. At the moment, all you need to do to get onto Steam Early Access is to have a publisher, which if you just set yourself up as a publisher, boom, you're done. You can go home.
Yep.
So.
But back to the fair use thing.
Yeah.
There was another YouTube channel in particular that it's a very similar Nostalgia Critic, only it's a tiny bit worse. She's getting harassed by a Italian company that owns the rights to most animes, but exclusively in Italy. She is getting spam copyright claims on just about every one of her videos, and because of this, because of all her ad revenue literally getting stolen at this point, she's having to pick up extra hours at her main job, aside from YouTubing, and it's pulling time away from her YouTubing, and that's just to get ends to meet. That's just so she will have a zeroed out level, so that she's spending as much as she's earning.
That's really crap.
Yeah, and before then she was getting attacked by a copyright music company, but she's completely fixed that. She uses the YouTube creator now, even though the music that she was using before was royalty free. This is why we're going to be doing, well, mainly me. I know Deus still has his YouTube channel, but I'm going to be doing a lot more uploading to Vimeo than YouTube. Mainly because, for one, friend did a thing to an old account and got my computer screwed up for YouTube. I can't even sign an account, so until I get a new computer, no YouTube videos out of me. But there will be Vimeo videos, and hopefully...
Yeah, so, well, as much as we'd like to stay, I think I'd like to thank you very much for joining us there, Mr. Sonic.
Thanks everybody for joining. Thanks everybody for listening. The other people in the group may be joining us for the next podcast, depending on if they're lazy enough or not. Either way, they're...
Yeah, well, I mean, the only way you could motivate me is the fact that I can't go anywhere. Anyway, right,
Yeah.
So I think it's a solid goodbye from me. Thank you very much for listening in to the BC podcast. And thank you very much, Mr. Sonic.